Tonight, recorded as live from glamorous Birkdale, it's the Castle of the Year with your host, the one, the only, and yes, I am available for Christmas pantomime, Rob Hart. Thank you. Thank you. Tonight, we salute those New Zealanders whose homes really are their castles. Those who put every cent, every ounce of energy into making a house like no other. And after travelling from you-know-where to the Bluff, we'll announce Castle of the Year 2006. It's a 1-hour special you won't want to miss. Thank you. You're too kind. Tonight, in our search for Castle of the Year 2006, you'll see 12 houses that are truly unique. Houses made of stone, wood, straw, metal, mud, and much, much more. Those council wolves can't blow them down, but you will be blown away. And you'll meet proud homeowners who walk the fine line between brilliance and madness.
This is the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah.
It happened to be at Whenuakiti in the Mercury Bay.
Don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Get up there and light the bloody thing yourself.
They'll be competing in 5 categories. Everything from best labour of love to best renovation. And the winners will have no idea they've won until we turn up on their doorstep. And as for what they stand to win, what better reason to stay in than the 15-inch Toshiba LCD television?
Ooh, hey!
Yeah! And our 5 category winners will then compete for the title of Castle of the Year 2006! And of course, this fabulous prize. It's the 37-inch Toshiba LCD television. You'll never leave home again. But without any further ado, it's time to present our first award for Best Labour of Love. A category that recognises the people who put everything into their home. Some call it passion, some call it obsession, but here at my house, my castle, we applaud their spirit. And so, the nominees are... Greg Groomer Clark for mortgage-free and loving it. His 100% recycled house in Wanaka. Nestled in the Southern Alps, ironically in the shadow of one Mount Iron, is this tribute to the unnatural beauty of raw metal.
I'm a panel beater and a carpenter, so both of those have definitely shown themselves, I guess, in the finish of the house.
It's 8 years since Greg bought the section and set about realising his teenage dream to build a mortgage-free home. The exterior cladding is undressed tin, salvaged from an old camping ground.
The land developers had just brought Penrith Park, which had been a classic, original camping ground, and they were throwing away the huts. And I went, brainwave, Mr. Cheapskate, I got my house. Lived in one hut for about 3 to 4 years and just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away and made some bold decisions, and I'm sure I annoyed a few neighbours.
Greg stubbornly refused to take out a mortgage, relying instead on a good, keen combination of Kiwi ingenuity, hard yakka, and help from family and friends.
Lived really rough for a lot of years without heat and hot water. Lived a bit like a hermit. Getting my toilet on the slab, I'd waited years for that. Getting hot water was massive, you know.
Yes, practically everything used to build the house is recycled.
The floors inside, which they'd been from a demolition job, The back door, the slider on the back, yeah, that's the old doors from the huts. The veranda is from an old barn. I've found that a lot of younger people love this house. Sort of looks like it can take a bit of a knock, and that just reflects the whole minimalistic approach to a house. I wanted those feelings to be right, and personally I've got them myself now, yeah.
Our second nominee in the Labour of Love category is this marine-themed house overlooking Northland's Doubtless Bay. It's the Kingi Kohine Kake whānau for Welcome to the Birdhouse, and they say they live beneath the wings of a giant stingray.
I love the sea. I'm out fishing all the time. That's what inspired me. I've been diving with stingrays and they're like birds, hence Waimanu.
A builder by trade, Kingi spent 7 months creating a house he believes will earn him immortality.
In millions of years haven't ruined these stones, so I want to know that when I'm gone, someone around here would probably know that the silly little guy named Kingi built this place.
The walls are made of 28 tonnes of South Island river stones embedded in concrete on site.
I tell you, one person put it really well when they started the actual building. They spent 2 months on this hill, and it was like ants. They saw nothing, just people bending down working like ants, and all of a sudden the walls went up.
After which, the home's distinctive roof, made with 8 tonnes of steel, was lifted into place.
I had people say when they saw the design that the roof would blow off. There's Kingi's house blowing down the road, but no. Once they saw the structure, no. It's got a lot of integrity, eh?
The living room walls are polished concrete with strategically placed paua. A water feature greets visitors, and Kingi is only too happy to show them round.
Yeah, I've had all sorts of people through here. I'm a shocker.
I'd be lying in bed and he'd be bringing people through the bedroom.
I've had the carpentry school.
Yeah, come and have a look. Look, here's our bedroom. I'm like, oh my God.
I've actually had boy racers stop here and say to me, cool pad, man. Now you tell me, what interest do teenagers have in real estate and properties? None whatsoever. So they appreciate it, eh?
Our third and final nominee in the Labour of Love category is the house that John built, a Waikato home reminiscent of medieval Europe. Pirongia's John Moore has handcrafted a living monument to the oldie ways of house building.
If the house says anything about me at all, I'm not very glossy, but I hope solid.
On New Year's Day 2003, the 70-year-old great-grandfather started what he likes to call his retirement project.
I wanted to use the skills I had as a stonemason and a woodworker to create an environment for myself.
Since that day, John's placed almost 6,000 concrete blocks, cemented them over, sanded them down, then plastered the walls using a traditional method. He also used hundreds of stones gathered from a neighbouring farm, stones that were once part of a late 19th century Waikato road.
If you can use stone, particularly stone that you've taken from the land, the house tends to look as if it's grown from the land.
But inside and out, the home's beams and timber have been hand-chiselled, not sanded or dressed.
The house is really built around 7 lead-light windows that we found that were made by the Austrian artist Friedrich Hundertwasser.
And ladies, John could well be the perfect man. He'll not only build you a house, but cook you dinner as well.
I like the kitchen. I love to cook, and the big slab of macrocarpa in the middle that makes the focal point of the kitchen, I really love that. When I'm building a house, I try to separate the myth from the reality. When people are building a house, the myth in their mind is they want a formal dining room, silver chandeliers, crystal goblets on the table. The reality is, in a real home, friends come into the kitchen and they stand with a beer or a glass of wine in their hand while you're cooking. And so I want this to be that type of home.
And a home that will remind his grand and great-grandchildren that houses can last for centuries, unlike what he calls the temporary sheds with expensive cladding being built in New Zealand today.
It's very easy for people to get trapped into an expensive architect. Keep it simple. Don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Get up there and light the bloody thing yourself.
And the award goes to... Greg Clark for mortgage-free and loving it. Greg!
Hello?
Greg! How are you?
Tonight, Rob.
Hey,
Hello, Rob. How are you?
Pretty good. Greg!
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Greg, I got something for you.
Yeah?
Greg, you are the 2006 Castle of the Year Labour of Love winner.
Thank you, Rob.
Put that on your bar.
Awesome. Eh?
I got something else for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about the fantastic Toshiba 15-inch LCD television to go with it?
I love it.
You're a winner, brother.
I am a winner. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much.
The judges were not only impressed by Greg's minimalist design, but also his steely resolve not to take out a mortgage. Greg's clever use of recycled materials is surely enough to secure a high ranking on the Green Party list. But in the meantime, he'll have to make do with a golden trophy and Toshiba TV.
So here's my foreign bride, my best man. I love my best man to pieces. I love my bride Toshiba. Just met, but I think we'll get on. But see you. Next is private.
Coming up, the award for Best Mud Castle. Will it be Kevin and Glenys Johnston for My Mud, My Castle? Or Julie and Gary Nevin for Mud, Sweat and Tears? As we continue our search for the Castle of the Year. Welcome back to Castle of the Year 2006 as we celebrate those dedicated homeowners who are literally mad about their houses. Our next award is for Best Mud Castle, a sought-after accolade amongst people who find weatherboard, brick and plaster rather passé. Instead, they choose to live in dirt. The first nominee is Mud, Sweat and Tears and is known as the Artist's House, situated in Whenua Kite in the Coromandel. It's now 4 years since Gary, Julie and family started crafting a castle befitting their profession.
We were potters at the time, I guess we still are, and we decided we had to live in an earth house. Something that had a peasant feel about it, that we could make ourselves and looked like it'd been made by a couple of peasants and, you know, not too many straight lines.
The whole family built the house using the stabilised adobe method, laboriously hand-placing a mixture of subsoil, cement and newspaper pulp.
You can go a metre high at a time. Just goes, it's great.
Just go.
Holds itself, it's self-supporting.
Yep. So you start mixing and 4 years later, you're still mixing.
The number 8 wire mentality is a recurring theme in many of tonight's Castle of the Year homes, and this one is no exception.
It's come from everywhere. The front doors came from an old baking powder factory in Auckland somewhere.
And the 3,000 bottles we put in as subfloor, we collected up from the tip and hand-lugged up the hill.
The Aga came from a reputed brothel right opposite the Pukekohe railway station, and it's got the cheek marks on the top to prove it.
That's his story anyway.
That's true. So there's bits from everywhere.
The spiritual centre of the house is the downstairs atrium. Each room's been given its own personality, thanks to a natural colouring method Julie concocted herself.
A cellulose base with a bit of clay and colour. But that's as much as I'm saying.
Spies from Taubman's Paints and the general public are welcome to book tours of the artist's house.
This is the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah.
It happened to be at Whenua Kite in the Mercury Bay.
Our second nominee in the Mud Castle category is My Mud, My Castle of Upper Motere near Nelson. Our house owners Glenys and Kevin have spent 15 years literally building from the ground up.
Neither of us have never even seen a real castle. We've just simply created something using our own ideas, really, or what we think a castle might be, but definitely with a Kiwi touch.
This castle is living testament to the saying, if you've got lemons, make lemonade.
We had a lot of clay, like quite a few tons of clay sitting out here. Yeah, it was just banding the idea around how to use it, and out of that came the mud brick house concept.
The Johnstons did their homework, and after much trial and error, began turning out 200 bricks a day. Although the main body of the house has been in place for a while, castle fever has consumed the Johnstons in the last 2 years, with 2 turrets constructed and a third on the way.
When we've finished the third turret, the house in total will be about 1,000 square metres. The main floor of the house is all mud brick. We've got mud brick bookshelves, mud vanity units, mud brick surrounds to the baths and so on.
Living in the castle has definitely given Kevin and Glenys a gothic sense of humour.
There's a spider's web on the floor and a spider, in case people miss the point, and there is a snake in the bathroom on the wall.
This castle now boasts 7 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and all the nooks and crannies one would expect to find in a real castle. So house-proud are this king and queen that the mud castle's now a popular venue for weddings, including their own.
People say, why don't you go away? We actually had our honeymoon. They say, where did you go for your honeymoon? We went down the other end of our house. We stayed in a honeymoon suite for our honeymoon.
And the award goes to Gary and Julie Nevin for Mud, Sweat and Tears. Gary! Julie! Come here. Gary, how are you? Gary.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, Julie.
Hi.
How are you?
What are you doing here at this time of the day?
Yeah, well, Rob Hart, I've got a little something for you.
Is that for me?
Yes.
It looks like an Oscar.
And your lovely lady. Not only looks like an Oscar, but it's made of a petrochemical product. It's very similar to what Oscars are made of.
Yeah.
It is. My house, my castle, Castle of the Year, Mud Castle Award for the finest mud castle in the country. Congratulations.
Hallelujah! Isn't that nice? Mate, we've done it.
It's not all I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you also a Toshiba fantastic little 15-inch LCD television.
Yes!
Be careful, it's heavy.
The kids will be happy.
Julie will be happy. I'll be happy.
Hey.
Everybody's happy.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. The judges wrestled with the Mud Castle category for some time, but finally agreed this house is a priceless piece of art worthy of the win. Gary and Julie's determination to hand-mould a family home that'll withstand time and rain is indeed proof that mud is thicker than water.
You little beauty! Woohoo! Look at that! We're the winners!
Yeah.
Coming up, a special performance from the Birkdale Line Dancing Society. Yep,
Hey.
right here.
Hey, great.
And we present the next award for Best Mosaic Madness. Will it be Josie Martin for Walk on the Tiled Side or Daj Sumner for Smash Palace? Welcome back to Castle of the Year 2006. It's bad news, the Birkdale Line Dancing Society has had to cancel. I know. It's a terrible shame, but moving right along, our next category is Best Mosaic Madness. A celebration of colour, broken crockery, and people who don't get out much. But there's no denying it. Their house is the talk of the neighbourhood. Excuse me. And the nominees are... Walk on the Tiled Side, a local landmark affectionately known as the Giant's House, home of the irrepressible artist Josie Martin.
When I do the painting, two-dimensional, I'm working with colour and form and rhythm and spaces. And in a way, I'm doing the same here. It's just a big three-dimensional canvas.
Over 11 years, Josie has turned what was once a run-down Victorian manor into a Technicolor wonderland.
When I came here and there was no garden, digging the garden, I kept finding hoards of beautiful shards of the old china. Because I was spending money on trying to get the house functional so I could survive here, I couldn't afford tiles, so I thought I should try mosaicing. I started with 2 figures out the front at Place des Amis, and they looked very lonely actually sitting there, and it grew from there. Then I thought, well, I should have a whole party.
Now, Josie's garden is the place where unwanted ceramics come to be reincarnated.
People often bring me special bits of china that they've broken. My angel's wings up there, someone bought me a whole lot of white plates. For the wings, I needed something special, and I wanted to evoke the idea of feathers, and the plates were perfect.
Historical preservationists will no doubt be hugely relieved that Josie has respected the classical integrity of the interior, with a few personal touches, of course. These days, the Giant's House is a popular function venue and B&B.
I know some people, when they come to visit the garden, you know, they trudge up the drive and, well, the world's a bit heavy, and by the time they leave, they're dancing down the drive. Home is your little bit of paradise, in a way. You make it what you want it to be. Your home is your castle.
The next Mosaic Madness nominee is Smash Palace, this adobe house in Northlands, Taipa Bay. It's a decade since Daj Sumner built it. Since then, she's had an insatiable urge to mosaic.
It just became a passion. Yeah, it's a lovely way of creating shapes and forms and beauty.
Daj's home has been turned into a mosaic masterpiece, a cracked canvas, a veritable vision of reconstituted remnants. But there's a solemn tale behind the beginning of Daj's artistic addiction.
One day a friend called in, he'd been house-sitting, and he'd broken this woman's beautiful pottery bowl. He was feeling terrible about it. And he was on his way to the tip with it, and I said, oh, leave it here, maybe I can do something with it.
Now, few corners are untouched. Daj's motto? Bring me your tired tiles, your poor plates, your muddled mirrors, yearning to be free.
I'd come home from town and pick up my mail, and there'd be somebody's broken pots in the letterbox or outside the door or something, you know. So, you know, I've got a great collection now.
Daj continues to mosaic and takes comfort from knowing it's an art form many others are cracking onto.
Everybody's doing mosaic now, which is absolutely fantastic, you know, colour the world.
And the award goes to Josie Martin for Walk on the Tiled Side.
Josie. Yes, hello. How are you?
Rob Hart.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Josie, can I tell you that you're my house, my castle, Castle of the Year, Mosaic Madness winner.
Really?
Yeah, surprise.
Oh my God, I don't know what to say.
And not only
Give me a kiss.
Oh yeah, I deserve that. It's a long way up.
Heavens, I've never had one of these before.
And not only do you get that, but Toshiba give you a beautiful 15-inch LCD television as well.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That is incredible. can I say? Thank you, thank you.
Hold me up, Jessie.
And you
Hold
haven't
me up.
even... I better hold this up too.
Can we move this house to the
My
flat?
castle.
The judges fell to pieces when they saw how Josie had breathed life back into this grand old giant. Her fine eye for colour and detail and boundless enthusiasm were just the ticket for this montage madness triumph.
Whoa!
Coming up, a generous buffet of lamingtons, pickled eggs and sausage rolls for our audience. Ooh. And for you at home, the award for Best Wild and Wacky Castle. Will it be Ian McGregor for Lawn and Order? Jeff and Robina Desbecker for Living Room with a View? Or Gerard Heinmarsh and Melanie Walker for Sign of the Times? We'll be back in 2 and 2. Welcome back. Tonight, we're touring the nation in search of the 2006 Castle of the Year. And our next category is Wild and Wacky. In other words, houses that break all the rules. And most importantly, stand out from the crowd. Maybe even from space. The first nominee in this category is Lawn and Order, Ian Macca McGregor's grass house in Wanaka.
I come up and hang out here fairly regularly, like lying in the grass or playing my flute.
When he's not watering, weeding or mowing it, that is. Rather than being a Kiwi fashion statement, Macca's roof is a solution to the engineering challenges of a design he dreamed up himself.
The thing was, we couldn't fit corrugated iron on there because the curve was too much. So there were a couple of choices and I just preferred to go with the grass.
There's not only grass on the roof, but grass on the walls too. Yes, the walls of this 5-star barn are made with plastered over straw bales.
It's really warm in the winter and it's cool in the summer. So great insulation.
Architect Richard Wilden accommodated Macca's distaste for straight lines throughout, with one exception, a fireman's pole.
I always wanted a fireman's pole. It does get a lot of use, yeah. It's really handy as a laundry chute from the top to the bottom. You can just chuck your laundry down at the end of the day.
Macca's an inspiration, not only because of his design, but also because he ignored people who told him to get off the grass. His advice to castle wannabes who are also thinking outside the square?
At the end of the day, you're the one who's going to live there and spend the rest of your life there. So I'd say go for it and yeah, live out your dreams.
The next wild and wacky nominee is Jeff and Robina Desbecker's Living Room with a View. A home so wild and at one with nature, it's hard to tell the difference between inside and out.
We spent a lot of time outdoors, so we wanted a house that looked like it disappeared into the tussocks, but gave us a view, a 360 view all the way around.
This house is truly one of the finest examples of long-term planning my house, my castle has ever seen.
For 10 years, we mowed this whole area where the house sits now. And Rabina and I used to come here at windy times and hot times, and we wanted to see how this spot actually worked with all the elements around us. I liken it to a saying that I heard once: if you've got 6 hours to cut down a tree, spend the first 5 sharpening your axe.
And although in this case much of the timber is recycled, the end result is a house that's perfectly in tune with its surrounds.
Our windows are quite low to the ground, so it gives you a feeling that the outside is coming inside.
In fact, so in love with the outdoors are Jeff and Robina, a better description for the master bedroom is the master bed place.
We